And with that, let's welcome in Tim Phillips, the Director of Government Affairs and Global Strategies at Nest Point, and Lydia Mashburn Newman, Managing Director of Monetary Economics at the American Institute for Economic Research. Welcome to you both, and thanks so much for coming on today.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay, so Tim, based on what the president said there, what do you think is going to happen with these trade deals that we keep tracking?
They're more complex to put together than maybe people would think, and the president knows that. He and Treasury Secretary Bassett know that. I think if they can get an initial deal done, whether it's with Japan or Vietnam, maybe the EU, although that's a heavy lift, it would, I think, reassure the markets and help businesses get a feel that things are moving in the right direction. And I think the second thing, when Republicans come back from the April break, they've got to move quickly on extending the Trump tax cuts. That will give a lots of assurance with the certainty of tax rates, and get that ending of the tax on tips that the president talked about during his campaign. So they're going to need to move with alacrity. I think those are the two biggest things that can happen short term to get the market going in the right direction.
Yeah, Lydia, by the way, just want to make very clear that the stock market is closed today for Good Friday, but the segment is an opening bell segment. That's what we call it. All right, Lydia, I'll go back to you on this because this was mentioned by Tim, which is great. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, spoke up about this, and he gave an update on the tariff negotiation process. We have that. Watch.
Yeah, we've got a process in place. We're working on the big 15 economies first. We had a fantastic meeting with Japan yesterday. I believe there have been calls with the EU already.
So Japan obviously coming to the table. This was kind of a three-day summit, if you will. Obviously, there is a deal in the works here with Italy. I believe J.D. Vance, the vice president now, is in Italy, in Rome specifically, carrying more of the water, if you will, for this administration and the tariff talks. What is your thought process here, and would you be encouraged if you started to see some deals roll out with this administration?
I think some deals would definitely provide some reassurance to the market that the goal is to get to and restore some semblance of trade and global trade. We are a globalized economy within the U.S., and having had these very high tariffs, but also very uncertain tariffs, has led to not just uncertainty on Wall Street, but also uncertainty on Main Street. And you also have a number of small businesses that have get part of their product lines from overseas, and they're trying to figure out, do they retool, do they not, how do they look ahead to the future? And so having one or two big trade deals, especially with something like Japan, Italy, I think would be more complicated because they are part of the EU and can't necessarily make decisions unilaterally or just bilaterally between Italy and the US. So there's definitely a great deal of concern, and the uncertainty is still very, very palpable.
Yeah. Indeed. And when you're talking about more than 70 countries, and the president had also set like a 90-day timeline here, there's a lot that can happen in what seems to be kind of a short amount of time. So we keep watching it, and also perhaps who's scheduling a visit to the White House. That might tell us which trade deals are on the table next. Let's switch gears to the housing market, if we can. A study conducted by Bankrate shows that Americans need about $117,000 to afford a typical home in the U.S. Again, an income of that. It's a 50% increase since early 2020, when the income needed to buy a typical home was about $78,000. D.C., Hawaii, and California topping the list of areas requiring the most income to afford a home, with each exceeding an income of well over $200,000. Tim, does this surprise you at all? But what does this tell you about maybe a trend?
It's not surprising. It is concerning. You know, part of the American dream has always been home ownership. Growing up, that's what my mom and dad told me. You know, own a home. It's the American dream, or part of it. It's a better situation in red states with better building ability, with less regulation. So Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia. You know, red states tend to be easier to be able to afford housing. Blue states are almost impossible. California, New York. And a lot of that really is the regulatory and the radical environmental policies in those states. So it is troubling. Interest rates are up after a long period of being low. That adds to the misery in some cases. But it is better. People looking to buy look at those red states because they just have a better environment in which to be able to afford a house in most cases.
Yeah, you can only afford the white picket fence, but not the home that goes with it. It's just unbelievable.
That's right, Sean.
It really is. Yeah, it's sad to see because you want to be able to get that back, and perhaps that does come back. Tim Phillips, Lydia Mashburn, Newman, thank you both. We do appreciate that, and happy Easter weekend to you both.